Welcome back everyone, Mudford here. I'm out in the shop tonight. Let me pan the camera around. No Mustang of Death. I ended up selling the Mustang of Death a month or so ago to a gentleman up north by the Northern Michigan Dragway. We've got some video clips of me attempting to race it up at Kalkaska. Didn't do very well on the unprepped surface. I wish James the best of luck getting it dialed in. And I can't wait to see how good at times he can run with it on an actual racetrack. I just wanted to show you the things that I did to finish it up before I raced it and then sold it. I put 3-inch exhaust cutouts that exit the car just behind the front tires. I added a Summit copy of the MSD ignition with a adjustable rev limiter. I added a line lock kit, and then I also put a battery disconnect because it's a race car and it will probably end up setting for long periods of time just so you can easily unhook the battery. So I've got quite a list of things I'm working on before the next race with the Mustang. It's coming up here shortly. But one of the things that I'm going to do is try to open up the exhaust a little bit more. So what I have here is a 3-inch pipe, and this is going to weld on the header and come out the side, and it's going to have a cap on this, and for the street I'll be able to go through the full exhaust. And when I'm at a race, I can take the caps off that'll be covering this. So here's what I'm doing for the exhaust cutouts. I just got a new reducer here. This is a 3.5 to 3 reducer. 3-inch pipe going out with a cap on it. This is going to come right behind the front tire. And what I'm doing is just fish mouthing it. I'm going to figure out where it needs to go on here and mark it, cut a hole out, and then weld it on where I want it. I sat the pipe on here, traced the outside, and then marked an inside line. That's where I'm going to cut it before I weld it. You just need to get a good weld all the way around here. Almost forgot to put this on. That would be a disaster because you can't put this on after you weld it. So I'm just going to weld that all up now, and then I'm going to weld the 3 to 2.5. I'm going to have to notch it. I'm going to have to shorten it and then notch it for this and then weld this on all the way around. So I got this weld all done, mostly buggered up, but it looks like it's sealed pretty good. I'm going to go ahead, I trimmed this reducer down, the 3-inch to 2.5 down a lot, and even notched it here. I'm going to go ahead and weld this on now, and then we'll be ready to put this on, this pipe on. Now I'm just going to go ahead and get this. I'm going to go ahead and get this welded on now, and then I'm going to trim it down to fit my other pipe on. Okay, I'm not sure how good you're going to be able to see this, but I think it turned out pretty well. I just have to put a tack, a couple of tacks right there to hold that piece. And then I think I'm also going to tack. These out like this, just to hold it the way I want it, just so it won't be bouncing around when I take them off. And then I won't have to put the wing nuts back on. I'll just be able to leave them off and won't have to worry about it. I'm going to have to also do the same things on the other side. Tack right there, and then tack where those flanges are also. But I think it turned out pretty good. So there's the 3-inch open header basically behind the front wheel, and then that's the 2.5-inch. That is after it comes out the muffler. So driving down the street, slap the caps on, and you have somewhat of an exhaust system. It's still pretty loud, but at the racetrack, you got 3.5-inch collector. It necks down to a 3-inch and comes out right there. So that should open up the exhaust a little bit. I got this Summit multi-spark CD ignition. $150 seemed like a pretty good price for what it is. What I like about it is it's like insurance for my engine because I got a rev limiter now that I can adjust. I already have a MSD blaster coil. So I pulled the old Duraspark out. It was right there. So we're going to get this mounted there. So I'm going to bend this up and mount it on the box here. Then I'll figure out how to mount it inside here. I got the Summit box mounted over there. It's mounted pretty secure. My coil was mounted right here. I think I'm going to move it over here on the engine just so I'll have a spot to mount my line lock. So I think it'll be better to have this closer. There's no reason why the coil can't be over here. Okay, we are wiring it up using a Ford Duraspark ignition with a magnetic pickup trigger. So we have to follow these instructions here, so that's what I'm going to be doing. The harness I'll be using, the gray wire goes to the tach. The white wire will not be used, and the violet and green are going to go from to the distributor. For the violet and green harness, I'm going to cut it really short. I still have about 6 foot before the connector. So I'm going to cut this short, and I'm replacing this connector. The black wire here in the middle won't be used. We're going to cut these and splice in these wires. That way we can still disconnect it if we pull the distributor out. Here's what we got with our connector. You would think violet would go to violet, but it doesn't. Violet goes to orange, and then violet there goes to green. I wasn't sure myself, but it says so right here. We've got violet on our new connector to orange, and then green on our new connector to violet. So these are the connections I always use, especially under the hood, but I pretty much use them everywhere now. These are heat shrink, so I just got to heat them up and they'll be a sealed connection. You don't got to worry about moisture or anything like that. The other connector is going to be the coil connector, which we've moved over here. I'm going to cut these. On the other harness, there's 2 wires that are together, coil positive, coil minus. So we're going to go ahead and hook them up where I cut the other wires. That red wire is switched power key, which is right here. This is the old wire that went to the coil positive. Okay, I ended up splicing this wire in. I used one of these little connector boxes, which I don't really like, but after I cut all the wires, I realized that this is for my old tach that's in the car. So now it will work. My new racing tach on the dash will run off of the other one. So that's all we have. I'm probably going to trim some wires and zip tie them up and make it all look nice. Another thing I got for it is a line lock. So we got to figure out where we're going to mount that down there somewhere. And this is going to let us hold the front brakes while we're doing a burnout, and also possibly to help us with the launch too. So I figured out where I want to mount the line lock. I had a hole right there for the top bolt, 2 holes in the bottom. It's going to be too hard to get the inside one because of this ignition being in the way, and I don't want to mess with it because I have it up under my fender. I'm just going to try to get one hole drilled right there, and I think it'll be pretty solid. With only one, it's pretty solid, so I think two should do it. Once I get it mounted, I'll obviously have to put a switch in with power. The power is going to go through the switch and here, and this one I will probably end up putting to ground, maybe even right here like this somehow, or down here out of the way. I just have to figure out how I'm going to run the line. The lines are down here. I'm going to have to buy a couple of lines, bend them, and get them up to this. That's mounted pretty solid. I think we're going to call that good. So I'm working on installing the line lock, and you gotta love Ford fittings. That's the fitting I pulled out of my proportioning block. It's not the same as a normal 3/16 line. That actually a 7/16 wrench fits on the nut part of it, and the threads are bigger than the normal one. A normal 3/16 line 3/8 wrench fits on it, so I'm going to have to make some modifications here, unfortunately. What I ended up doing was getting the end of the line up here where I could get to it, cutting it off, and then I welded the end in. So now this will be my plug to go on the proportioning valve, and then I'll slip a regular 3/16 line on there and then a union and connect it over here to my line lock. Here's how the line lock turned out. The inlet is right here. This is coming from the proportioning block going to the front brakes. I plugged the other one off going to the other front brake. So this is my inlet, and then these two are my outlets. One goes to the right front, one goes to the left front, and it should work this way. This kit has 3 outlet ports, and for some reason they wanted you to plug them and only use one and then go to a T. So we're going to see how this works. It doesn't make much sense to me when I have it 2 spots here just to run 2 separate lines out. So that's what I did. So I ended up routing it out the top over here. Probably not the best, but it does work. And it's kind of out of the way, but I could still get to it to tie into it. So right there is my line lock button that came with the kit. I just kind of zip tied it on to my shifter. It'd be better to get a B&M handle with a button already on it, but this is what I had. Should work just fine. And that's a momentary. So when I push the button, it'll hold the line lock let off and it'll release it. So now I've got the wires run down. What I need to do is just get the wire here fed through and hooked to the black one here, and then the red one has to come from key on power, and then the line lock will be all set. Got the line lock all wired up and the trim all in place, well, most of it. It's not all down there because I'm going to be doing some more wiring for the tach. Got the key on. I'm going to hit the button. Hopefully you can hear the solenoid engaging out there when I hit the button. So we're good. Got the line lock installed, wired up. The brakes are bled out, and it seems to work. I had never used one of these before, so I thought I just had to push the button. But that's not how it works. You push the brakes down, then you push the button, and then you let off on the brakes, and it holds the front brakes. So that seems to be working. Got the tach mounted up here now, and I ran the wires down through this little grill here. Not exactly what I wanted because it's very brittle, and I tried to drill a little hole and it just broke a bunch off, unfortunately. When you have a vehicle that's going to set for long periods of time like race cars, it's a good idea to put a battery disconnect switch in. That's what this is. You can usually get these for a few dollars. I just drilled a couple holes in a piece of angle iron, and I'm going to mount this right here next to my solenoid, and then run all my positives to this. And then I'm going to have a short wire going from this to my solenoid, just so that everything will be disconnected when I shut this switch off, so my battery won't go dead. A lot of times when you leave a vehicle setting for a long time, you have to either disconnect the battery like I've been doing, or it'll be dead when you go to start it. So this will be a little bit better option.